The most important person in your entire transaction, if you're getting a mortgage, is someone you will never talk to, never meet, but they hold the balance of power in their hands for you to get a house. Who am I speaking of?
Welcome to today's episode of We Fixed Real Estate. Although we're starting in San Francisco today, we've been shaking down south in San Diego. We just had our first earthquake in a long time. Another latest wild events. Here we have Fred. Fred, how's it going?
Wee!
Chris Gustavel's here, and René is incognito, driving back from a very important sales meeting.
Oh, come on now. We just closed on our biggest transaction probably the last year, really. It's a property in Montecito. It was originally listed back in September for close to $8 million. And we were able to close a transaction in $5,475,000. So,
Whoa, that does deserve a little bit of bragging.
Was it the same listing agent, Renee, who just kept lowering the price?
Yes, it was.
So let me explain. Talk about buying a listing. Oh, of course, I'll be able to get you $18 billion and, a free trip around the world if you list with me. This is so freaking typical because sellers don't understand what's going on. All they know is, I want a big price for my house. And this agent said they could. They're with a big company and they're global and it's a bunch of crap, people. All these listing brochures and promises.
Here's the issue, right? Like, yes, in the industry, one of the best scripts that agents use to get listings is to say, well, you can get X price for a house. When let's say it's $3 million that the sellers want, the agents already know what number you want, so they just give you a bigger number, right? So that's really well known in the industry. However, it is hard to really give a price as to what a house is going to sell, because as agents, we have an idea, we know what the comps are, we know the market, but we don't know what the actual market will do once it's on the market, right? Let's say 2 weeks ago, if we list a property, everything is well, the market is telling you good things, and then what happens? Tariffs happen. Well, now you have people who are scared to get into the market, so you don't know how that's going to affect the market in terms of what you get afterwards. So it's hard to really know what a house is going to sell for. If we knew what a house was going to sell for, we would
be retired.
higher. The other thing is that in residential real estate, once you go above like the $3 million real estate sales, it's hard to figure out, okay, the house next door sold for $10 million, but they put in like $5 million on interior designs. So that's why it sold for that price. So you're just kind of making up numbers in the luxury market, right? So it's not, I would not blame agents for, just bringing up random numbers when you're above the 5 million, because it's hard to know. And if you look at the street of where this sold, there are houses that on one end, like the house next to this sold within a week. The house across from this has been on the market for more than 2 years, right? So it's really hard to kind of figure out, okay, what is the market really doing, right? And these houses have huge lots and they're so big that, between being in one house to the other, there's a huge comparison in noise level, right? For example, and you can't really tell because you're so close. You would imagine if there's no noise on this one, the one next door probably isn't noisy either, right? But it is. So that's nothing that you can really mark. You can't put a number on the comparables as to like what the noise level difference is. And that's why it's so hard. So I don't blame the agents for pricing in the way they did, because someone who doesn't know real estate could have just emotionally bid for that number and they would have, been geniuses.
And were you representing the buyer or seller in this?
We were representing the buyers.
You were the buyers and you got it for $3 million off.
Yeah. I mean, this is interestingly enough. And, when people listen to us, we always say like, oh, we're a small brokerage. Well, I'm starting to think that we're actually a big brokerage, because this was actually the second set of buyers that we took to this house. So back when it was new on the market, I brought in a first set of buyers to that property. Eventually they thought, you know what, it's overpriced and I don't really like it. It's outdated. There's this and that I don't like. So they moved on. And, a few months later, we get another call from other of our buyers who, by the way, we were working with them for I like to say 3 or 4 years now.
They would pop up every once in a blue moon. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing with real estate, right? We're here for the long game of, just because you call us in and just because we charge less doesn't mean that we want a quick sell. You'll get a house when you want to get a house, right? That's our motto.
Yeah. And what we tell people is we could care less how many offers you make as long as they're legitimate offers.
Mhm.
We're not going to work with a developer who wants to lowball everything in Cupertino because, it's just a waste of time writing contracts. But if you're serious, it may take you a couple of years to find a house. Sometimes, I mean, hopefully it only takes a couple of months. But what happens is the new first-time buyers come in, and usually the first contract they underbid, and they think they're overbidding, and they get killed. And then they understand the market,
Mhm.
so they, then they know what to bid on the next one, or they get out of the market. Or they look for a lower price house. So just, it's crazy, but we'll stick with you because I know in the big brokerage, they have a thing. Oh, if you show them 3 houses and they don't do anything, drop them. No, we're not like that at all. I mean, it's just, I'm not going to comment.
The right house. Well, gosh, so that was in the peninsula. What's happening up at the 16th and Mission in San Francisco? There's a lot of buzz.
Oh, let's talk about San Francisco. It is truly coming back. Anybody who's, puts on, they say, oh, this place is closed and there's guys around. The new mayor's really got it together. So if you've ever been to San Francisco in the last couple of years and you've had to take the BART and either come out on the BART or going to the BART at 16th and Mission, it looks like, what does it look like? Let me give it an idea. 2 a.m. after a Coachella concert, it's pretty dreary. It's crazy. There's people doing everything there. He brought a big bus full of people to clear it out, and they're all gone. And now you can get off at 16th and Mission and actually walk down the street and not have to worry about it. He's gone into the Tenderloin and cleaned it up.
Mhm.
So San Francisco is absolutely coming back. We're seeing, and René can go into a little more detail about this, certain properties, single families, Western Addition or that area. I mean, they're flying off the shelves at ridiculous prices. If the property looks really nice and staged really nice and photographed really nice, it's going to fly. So, it's coming. It is, there's still employment there. The AI people are HQ'd there. It's happening.
Return to work, so people are now coming back into the city. They can live out in Vacaville and telecommute in.
Yep. For at least 3-4 days a week.
Well, that's very encouraging.
Editors will probably start going up in price for the condos downtown. I think in the same way as Seattle, the condos are starting to come back downtown.
Chris, how's the condo life in downtown Seattle these days?
I really don't know.
Good answer. We haven't sold them there. We don't have any buyers for there.
Downtown to me still is not a place to be.
Still.
Yeah. I mean, I don't go down there very much, but there's a reason. Everything's gone.
That revitalation's coming back soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then so San Francisco's back. It's getting even backer than it already was. I don't think it ever left. But even going down south towards South San Francisco into Hunters Point type area or north-south San Francisco, that's even starting to.
Well, the Hunters Point thing, we talked about it last week, but we found out a little more. They're starting to make restitution and deals to finish the cleanup, and it was in court forever, and bad people trying to hide crap that was still in the ground. It's like, whoops, we forgot, I guess was their excuse, but it's coming back.
And then as we circle through the whole rest of the city, what about the Great Highway? I know they're closing it permanently to be a park. That just seems like a traffic.
Yeah, they gave it a new name. Sunset Dunes, isn't it? René, have you been out there since they Sunset Dunes? Where they closed the road right on the beach.
I mean, that's where I used to live, right?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to end up doing then eventually. I mean, there was a whole, call to recall I don't know if it was city official that voted for them. But
It was
eventually,
a vote. It was a public vote.
It was. As a surfer, I miss not being able to drive 7 miles and actually see the ocean. Now you got to drive through the avenues to get to wherever you want to go and then hike up a sand dune.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they're gonna turn it into a park allegedly, but we'll see what they end up doing with that.
Okay.
Good for bike riding there. That's for sure.
Brad,
Yes,
tell
it
me
is.
about mortgage.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit about what we do on the mortgage side. The most important person in your entire transaction, if you're getting a mortgage, is someone you will never talk to, never meet, but they hold the balance of power in their hands for you to get a house. Who am I speaking of? I'm speaking of a mortgage underwriter. Hey, very good, Chris. She learns quick.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, I could have done that before. We could have done it as a question and I could have asked you. So that would have been even better. But anyway, the mortgage underwriter is the one who takes all your documents and with the help of the underwriting criteria of whoever they're underwriting to, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, jumbo lender, the bank, whomever, they decide if everything they have is good and they clear you. And then you get that fully underwritten mortgage pre-approval. I can't tell you how many people we tell to get the fully underwritten approval, which, by the way, we can get in 24 to 48 hours for anyone doing a conforming loan.
Really?
Or FHA or VA or USDA. We can get you that approval. It's fully underwritten. But a lot of people just go and they get an approval, which is just like put in your data. They run you through the Fannie Mae or the Freddie Mac computer system, and then they come with a piece of paper. You're conditionally approved. The word's conditionally conditioned. That's not good. You want the full real approval, that it's been underwritten by someone, because then you're ahead of other people who didn't do this. As a matter of fact, like even on our listings, we tell people don't even bother submitting an offer unless you're fully underwritten, because there's still a question whether you're going to get approved or not. So it's really important. And we do that. We love doing those. The other thing about mortgages is obviously the price, the rates. The market moves literally every day. We had a day last week where there was tariffs, there was no tariffs, there was some tariffs, there's left side tariffs, right side tariffs. China goes 100% of it, all over the map. We had about 7 rate changes that day. Okay, so it's nuts. So when it comes to you comparing mortgage companies, you have to literally do it at the same minute. I know that's hard to do. We're one of the only companies that puts our rates online. You can see our rates, arrivva.com/rates, put in your criteria, boom, there's a live price that we can honor, assuming they don't change it by the time we lock you in. Take an hour, compare us and 3 other companies. You're going to have to call them and talk to some loan officer. It's going to drive you crazy. They're going to just try to become your buddy. The other thing they're going to tell you is, when you get approved and when you're ready to put an offer in, call me and I'll give you an approval for the sale price. So the seller can see, you that's it. That's your price and that's what you're coming in with. It's the stupidest thing you can do, because if you're in a multiple bid situation, especially, and they say, okay, if you're $1 million and they say, okay, we have 3 offers, they're all at $1 million or close, we're going to have a second round, but you can't be in this because your approval only says you're approved to $1 million. The loan officer screwed you. So be very careful. Rates. How are rates determined? Real quick. They take a wholesale price from a wholesale lender, and wholesale lenders can be Wells Fargo. They could be Rocket. They could be anybody. We're signed up with about a half a dozen companies, because doing it with any more is ridiculous. We take our wholesale price and we add just $4,750 to it, whereas every other lender in America does a percentage, and they're going to be at least 1%. So if you have an $800,000 mortgage, that's $8,000. So guess what? Our prices are going to beat them. We don't add on any extra fees, no processing fees, no junk fees. It's only what the lender charges. And their underwriting fee, like somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200, but they're all basically within a few $100s of each other. That's it. So those are really important things to do when you're looking for a mortgage. Look at these criteria.
That's very good. And what about rate locks? Is it important to lock it in earlier or
Well,
longer?
here's the story. You can only lock in after you have a contract. And you have to look at what your closing date is and add the number of days. So if you're closing within 30 days, that's usually the best price. Yes, there are some companies that do 15-day lock after you're fully clear and approved, but that's different. But like we had a client enter into a contract, and the contract was for 60 days. The seller wanted time. We all agreed. Well, for rate for 60 days, it's going to be, it's probably an 1/8 to 1/4% higher. But your alternative to locking in right now is every day, literally finding out what the rates are and being able to lock it any time. So you do not have to lock at application. So just keep that in mind. So, but if you're going to go out 60 days, know that you're going to pay a higher rate than if you did 30 days. So just keep that in mind.
And once you're locked, you can't go apply for another mortgage if the rates go down.
Well, every company's different. If it drops significantly, like 3/8 in rate, you can usually renegotiate something. It's not going to be perfectly all the way down, or you can just literally go to another mortgage company if there's enough time. So that can happen too.
Relock it in.
And with a refinance, you can get out of the deal even after you sign the papers, because there's 3 days after you sign the papers, it's called a rescission period. So you can rescind the entire transaction and start from scratch.
Really?
That's another podcast. So we can talk about that. When the rates get lower, we'll start talking about it. Now, the 10-year treasury all over the map, it's just nuts.
Yeah, all the pundits have been talking about it, and they all seem to be not getting it right. Like this 10-year looks like it has a mind of its own right now.
Oh no, what's happening is foreign governments, they're doing it to Trump. It's like, okay, you want to play the game with us? We're just going to sell a bunch of treasuries. But we won't know for like 3 months till the period comes out of when they actually have to disclose it, who was selling. But I'm sure it's China, and more China, and probably Japan, Mexico. Mexico owns a lot of our debt. So, anyway, that's all I got.
Chris, what's the good word up there?
Good word. The weather's getting nice.
Daffodils are out.
Yes. Sun is out. It's nice. Yeah. But kind of slow real estate wise.
There you go.
Well, for me,
there's no opportunity.
I see houses coming on the market. I just not much going on for myself.
So in a market like this, where houses are coming on the market, but there's not the safe fervency that is in Cupertino with 50 people bidding on a home, what's the strategy for the buyer? Like find something you like and make a thoughtful offer, or wait, what's the strategy?
I think, find something you like. And then, but it's weird because sometimes we think houses are going to go in a couple days and then they don't. They're sitting there for, it seems like it's a hot home. And then, it's been 10 days and it's still sitting there. So it's kind of weird. I don't really know if I have an answer for that. Just that you have to really, but then there are some houses where there's 10 bids. So
I think that was the best honest answer I've heard, because I don't think a lot of people understand what's happening with the economy. There's so much indecision on both sides.
Yeah.
People selling it, no, I should wait maybe another 2 months. It might be better. People buying, I should wait 2 months. Like everybody's just kind of looking for a clear signal on which way to go.
Right.
Unless you're forced to, like, oh, I'm relocating. I need to move here.
Right.
How's rents up there now?
I think rents are good. Rents is expensive, and I think the rental market is strong. So, yeah. Especially there's tons of condos here. So
rent's still a possibility, or a short-term lease, or short-term like month to month until you find something.
Yeah.
That might be an option. In this,
I think people are just not moving right now. If they don't have to move, why would they right now? They might want to wait and see, even a couple weeks or something.
But then you're predicting that you're going to have more clarity in the future than you have now.
Right. Which you're not.
Might even be less clarity.
Right.
Yep. Everything's shaking here in California. Had the earthquake.
What was the earthquake? What was the?
It was a 6.0 up near Julian.
Oh,
so it was just east of more of the downtown area of San Diego. So I'm up north from there.
And you didn't feel much?
We could definitely hear it. It was loud. It was but there wasn't very much rumble where we were. It was more of just this like loud kind of, well, it was a loud rumble, but not much movement.
That's interesting.
Okay, Fred, Renee, Chris, I think this has been another episode of We Fixed Real Estate.